and welcome to Call to Arms, and thank you for answering the call. And welcome to a very different Battlecry episode. I'm sure we've all seen it before. Yes, this is it. We're going for a more kind of casual theme because, as you all know, I'm having Nathan over for a double header today. For this evening, we're going to be doing a chat about the new General's Handbook, and then we're also going to be using the new General's Handbook rules to play a game, to have a battle approach. So I thought, well, seeing as he's here, we don't have to have, the old Discord chat with that. So we just have a nice kind of casual wee hook up on the couch. So yeah, no, I mean, I'll try my best. I'll try my best, but yeah. So welcome, and Reece, yeah, we've got folk in chat already. Fantastic. It's already coming with the side. Already coming with the side. What battle tactics based it, bro? So
much space for activity.
So yes, and we're really excited. Well, I'm really excited anyway. I'm sure Nathan is as well because we've got a brand new General's Handbook. It's not technically out yet.
No, it's not.
It's not I think officially Saturday is the actual release. Right, some of this has all been leaked. Last week was it? Yeah, like all this.
Yeah. Well, the stuff came out this time last week, but I think the NDAs or whatever for content creators get lifted on Saturday, and we got some high quality PDFs.
Love it. I love it. I miss it too many fuzzy images for them.
See the memes. There was a whole bunch of memes get spawned of people seeing the high quality pictures of this GHB, deliberately making them bad.
So there's some ones as well where they're saying that it's too high quality, therefore it must be fake. No, someone's been sat and made all these.
GPT, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God, is anything safe these days? No. But yeah, so we saw. I know I saw in a lot of WhatsApp chats. There was a whole load of rumours for the new GHB about what spells we're going to have, what abilities we're going to have. Some of them turned out to be true. Some of them turned out to be a load of rubbish. So yeah, that's new. So we're going to be kind of having just a wee chat about our thoughts on the new GHB. We're going to be talking about the victor plans, the new kind of ability, the kind of new season rules, if you were. There's new spell lore to be chatting about as well, new artifacts as well. And yeah, basically just kind of reminiscing about the ending of the Galician Champions, mate. That's pretty much where we're at. So yeah, looking forward to it. So hopefully we'll have some good chat interactions. I've got a whole load of questions that some people have sent in, so thanks so much for those people. So we'll have plenty to chat about. Before we go any further, just want to say thank you to all the sponsors of the channel. So Accent Gaming, Dunfermline, Mini Trace, and Trocated Studios. Thank you so much for giving me all the stuff for the monthly giveaways. And then also thank you so much to all of my patrons as well, which is growing in number, which is quite nice. Really nice to see. Thanks so much for the support, guys. And yeah, if you do like the content, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll chat a wee bit at the end about how you can enter the giveaway. So yeah, let's get started, mate. So new GHB. We're in Andtor. What's your initial thoughts?
Yes, easier to pronounce than Galatian or
Galilei or Galilei. That's the man can get.
Yeah, that's. I think this one's looking like it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm mostly excited by the prospect of being back to the 12-month GHB as well.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that kind of didn't mind the idea of going on to 6-monthly cycles because I like to play a lot, but 6 months is too short.
Yeah.
For missions and stuff. We felt it quite a bit of Worlds where we're like lots of lurkers below, and that was from the previous GHB as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's just because TO's decided to not play it, and a good reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think going to a 12-month cycle is going to be good for both ends of the game spectrum. If you're a competitive player, you're going to get to dive into it a bit deeper. And if you maybe don't have time to play with the book in 6 months, then you're going to get a lot more out of it now, I think.
Sure. I think what compounded the issue as well was it was 6 months.
17 battles.
Yeah. 6 months of the GHB, and it was just bang, shotgun and battle tomes at you as well with it. It was mental. It's a mental time in Sigmar. However, that's really calming down now. We've only got 2 more tomes to come, right? Right.
Well,
Two cities. Beck.
Yeah, cities and Beck are the only ones that are missing their battle tome.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the last? This is the back of my mind. What was the last new faction that came into the game?
Getting the old tinfoil hat on.
Yeah,
The last new. No, surely not. There was the Crew Boys was the last new faction. We're not counting that because it's one.
Well,
mega,
yeah,
it's a mega faction.
I think you're right. They must have been the last one.
Sure.
They came out at the start of the third.
Yeah. They were
And Sons of Behemoth would have been AOS 2 then.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
I'm
trying to think actually. I can't actually remember if there was like a whole like brand new faction. But that seems to be
before, didn't you?
Yeah, we definitely have.
But yeah, like I think that the only two inventions have been Lumineth, Hiding the Deacon, and KO. Really?
Yeah, they've all been kind of everything else is just like repackaging of like
since the beginning anyway. Fire Slayers and Iron Jaws for you. But yeah, like but it's been a while.
Yeah. So you thinking there could be a whole new faction coming out
potentially this year? The specs coming out in winter, and the rumours are like the game has been on a cycle for so long that everybody's kind of under the impression it's going to be Age of Sigmar 4 now next year, right? Because they've done AOS 1, 3 years later AOS 2, 3 years later AOS 3. Yeah. We're now coming up to the third year of third edition. I can't believe that. I genuinely can't believe. I was having a chat. I think it was actually with Reese when he came over for his game, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, so next year looks like with fourth edition." I was like, "Hey," I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, we really have third edition next year," and he's like, "That no." So it will be a couple of the early battle tomes could get a new one, I guess, because like it's been a long time for Stormcast and Orc War clans.
That's true.
That wouldn't be uncommon. That happened, like I think, I remember before Age of Sigmar 2 came out, there was the Death Book came out and it had a mechanic to return slain models like Death have, but in AOS 1 you had to pay reinforcement points to return slain models.
Yeah.
So it was like super clunky. You had to submit these lists under 200 points and stuff. And then AOS 2 came out like 2 months later or whatever, and you no longer had to pay your reinforcement points. So we could see battle tomes with an eye on 4th edition released before as well, but it's not going to be at the same pace that the last year's been. Well, it can be. Yeah, I would be surprised if it was. We've got these 4 kind of Broken Realms-esque books as well. Don't know what they're called.
The Harbingers, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be something that will maybe fill the gap.
For sure. So instead of tomes, we'll have new rules, new models brought in. So we're going to have obviously the end of it. We'll have like, these new hero models, which we're also seeing rules coming out for as well. So hopefully the kind of the release schedule will kind of calm down a bit. We'll have maybe, I don't want to use the word stable, but maybe just like a
less volatile.
Yeah, well, just it's going to be a less choppy and changey meta for a full year. So everyone's going to have a full year with this book. They can, they can come up with all these different strategies and stuff like that that work with their armies, their factions for a whole year. And I think it maybe be a bit more settled. And it means it will maybe. I mean, potentially it could be a bit more fun as well. The fact we're not like, oh well, it doesn't matter because in the next 4 weeks we're getting a new GHB thing, and that was happening.
Change of pace. It'll be nice to take time to work on your army projects and know that it's going to be at least functional as an army for more than a month or two.
Exactly. So initial thoughts. You're excited. You're looking forward to what the years to come. Initial thoughts for me, much the same. Like I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking the new battle plans.
Yeah,
I'm liking the new rules. Obviously, like wizards, small, like under 9 wounds or less wizards right now are like stomps. Yeah, exactly. Their stomps are now shooting right. And now it's kind of like looking to where you could potentially gain access to these units within your army, because they're going to open up battle tactics for you, and they're also going to open up new scoring mechanics and battle plans as well. So I think everyone's now kind of looking at a premium, and then also, so the other kind of other kind of side of that as well is that you've got some factions that already had really good 9 wound or less heroes. And now they're just even better now. They're kind of nuts. So we'll kind of touch on that as well. And we'll look at the kind of maybe not biggest winners and losers, but just like who's really benefiting of this GP and who's going to need to look for kind of maybe new ways to win and kind of like sort of stuff like that as well. So we'll definitely touch on that. So let's dive in. So we've got Realm Rules. We've got Andtor, Andtor. So so as Nathan already said, the Antorian Locus keyword is assigned to any wizard hero with a win characteristic of 9 or less. But what does that do, Nathan? What does that do for us? What does having an Antorian Locus do for us?
So the only thing it lets you do, to my knowledge, is if you're going second, you can cast an extra spell or unbind an extra spell.
Extra spells, good.
Yep. So that's if you're going second, and it gives you access to the Realmsphere magic lore, which includes 3 new spells. And quite powerful spells.
Quite good, yes.
New command traits that are only for Antorian Loci.
New artifacts.
No artifacts.
No? I thought there was new artifacts.
No, there's
Locus.
There's there's the unique enhancement Nullstone.
Nullstone Adornment.
You have no wizards in your army. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. And the only other thing is that you can enter the Antorian Acolytes Battalion.
Yes.
So all of the extra juicy magic stuff that people are talking about, like primal magic, being able to cast with more than 2d6, is open to any wizard or anybody that can unbind. But it's just it seems a little bit toned down from Galatian Champions. I feel like Galatian Champions were maybe more pivotal than the Antorian Locuses are going to be.
Yeah.
But those spells are good. There's going to be a couple of good combos.
For sure. If you can get a reliable small wizard caster chucking out these spells, they're huge, like force multipliers, for sure. So we'll touch on that as well. So that's your Antorian Locus. We've then got Optimal Focus. Now we were talking about these extra dice that you're able to then use for making your cast better, for making your dispel better. So how does that work?
So that's the primal magic.
Yes.
Yep. So primal magic is when you are at the start of a turn, at the start of the hero phase, each player rolls a dice.
Yep.
On a 4+, both players receive 1 primal magic dice.
Cool.
So you can theoretically each have 2. You're not going to find yourself in the position where one person gets 1, the other person doesn't. If one person rolls a 4, you both get dice. So that's pretty balanced. You don't lose them between player turns. You lose them between battle rounds. So you could get your 2, choose to not use your 2 in your turn, but then your opponent's turn get some.
Yes.
And so you can end up in an advantage.
So just to clarify, the maximum number of primal magic dice you could have within 1 battle round is 4. No?
So if you have the Antorian Acolytes Battalion, you can obtain extra ones as well,
indeed. Good.
Which we'll come to. And then there's a command trait where you can get an extra one at the start of each battle round on a 3+. So I think 6.
So think 6. So if you don't take the additional gubbins, if we're just looking at rules there, that's 4. Then there are ways to get.
There's ways to get extra ones. Think there's a battle plan in there that maybe gives you an extra one as well.
Okay.
But so I think it's quite good that it's not so much as I feel bad if you roll your 4+ and you get 1. After my 4+ and I don't.
Yeah.
And then you've got this extra casting power and have to get nothing to stop it, sort of thing. So
I like that.
I like that they did it so that both people get it.
Correct.
And it also forces you to roll the dice as well, which I think is pretty cool. So like you might be like, I don't want my opponent to get any extra dice to stop my spells because I cast on a +3. I feel pretty confident already, but you both have to roll.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It can be used to cast a spell. So you roll your 2d6 to cast your spell. That's your casting roll. And you can then, before unbinding, attempt to add a dice to it.
Only 1 dice.
Initially, yeah. So you roll a dice and you add that to your casting roll.
Yeah.
So if during this process you roll any double ones, so a double one out of the 3 dice would be a primal miscast.
Just kind of like the Sork Lords and the old slaves that can cast a 3d6 if they roll double ones.
That's a miscast.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you've already rolled a 6 in your initial casting roll, or suppose if you've rolled a double 6, and then you add a dice to that pool, and you've then got 2 6s out of your 3 or more. The spell successfully cast cannot be unbound.
Sweet.
But it does stop you casting any more spells. That hero phase, I think. Yeah, can't attempt to cast any more spells. But it's good to like 4/6 spell. So I think Zeech are maybe going to have some play around that, where because there's 2 6s or
yeah, of course, yeah, they do.
Because if you roll like say a 6 and a 1, the 1 becomes a 6. They add a primal magic dice. It rolls a 2. They've already got a double 6. It's automatically cast. They just need to be careful because then they can't cast any more spells that turn. So, but yeah, pretty cool. But after you've rolled your first additional dice, if you've got more primal magic dice, you can add more to the casting roll as well.
Okay.
So you could roll 4d6 or 5d6, but obviously as soon as you hit a double 1, it's a primal miscast, which does d3 plus 3 mortal wounds to yourself and d3 to everything within 3 inches. So it could.
That's pretty bad.
It could kill your wizard.
Yeah, kill your wizard. But we splash damage around about as well.
So yeah, does it say they can't be negated? No, they can be negated. So every wizard's got the ward or something. But yeah, you can also use the dice if you're unbinding a spell as well. So if you're like I play a lot of Khorne, traditionally we don't have wizards in Khorne.
You don't really want to stop spells anyway, right? You just want to roll the 5 ups to ignore it. Sorry, my apologies.
But yeah, there's a couple of cool interactions. Probably need some FAQs, but if you roll your 2d6 and it's an unmodified 8 and the Hexscorcher Skulls are out, there's an interesting thing that the Hexscorcher Skulls says that spell has been stopped by the Skulls because it's unmodified 8 and you take the mortals or whatever. But then there's some people saying, well, if I roll a 2d6 and it's an 8, and then I add a dice to it with the thing, and then I get a primal cast on double 6, does that override the skulls? But depend. I think it's going to need a clarification.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, there's lots of stuff we need clarifications on it. But it seems like a cool little mechanic.
So just kind of taking this from face value, particularly, do you think it's clean enough mechanic?
I think that it's not going to take much to make it clean. There's a few things like, obviously, Warsong Revenants are not going to be able to do their spell with a casting value of 4d6 and do.
You hearing that, Reese? You hearing that?
It's not happening.
Not going to be happening, right?
Or if you want it, Scragrok can do the same. So you choose. But yeah, like those, that can't happen. There'll be clarifications that they need to make to it, but it seems clean.
Yeah, you totally.
It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. Reese just said it as lore. It's in the lore.
It's in the lore. Yeah, I would expect Reese to know the lore, to be fair. So I guess maybe we'll just agree.
The lore doesn't know his own rules.
Most narrative stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't read the rules.
The rules, yeah. 1 inch each. 1 inch each. So just looking at that, so as I say, like, particularly enough, probably needs quite a few stuff in the fact to kind of clean up some things and what have you. But yeah, nice little mechanic there. So that's primal magic for your extra dice to get cast and unbind. Sorry, the one I was talking about was optimal focus. Yeah. That's where you get extra CP. Or an extra unbind or one extra cast. Right, cool.
If the Antorian Locus, you get the 1 second an extra cast in your turn and then extra unbind in your opponents. But if you are going second, you get an extra CP. If you pick the hero that is not
a wizard, you get an extra CP. But it's only be spent
by that hero. So things like
so just like
my banner guy in Khorne can issue a rally without spending this. It's cool.
Cool. I mean, if you don't get wizards, then you get something.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's pretty much all the round rules then covered. Right. Cool. Right. We're now going to talk about the unique enhancements. These are the null stone adornments. So these are unique enhancements that can only be taken by non-wizards.
You can only take it if you have no wizards in your list.
Have no wizards at all. Wow, that's quite stringent. Okay.
Yes.
So you're basically just opting out of the Antorian Locust game.
Or you like Fire Slayers don't have a wizard, Khorne don't have them.
Gargants, we don't take
So just things like that is going to prevent you from being able to play that part. So I think it's a nice touch.
Cool.
They don't seem particularly insane, but they're going to be nice to have for sure.
Yeah, cool. So let's have a wee chat about these. Before we do, I'm just going to catch up with our chat as well.
Yes, sure.
We've got Raphael Coleman as well. He's saying, "Hey lads, hi Raphael." He's also became a new patron as well. So thanks so much for that. So Martin Johnston saying, "Sup gents?" We've got Sinky in the chat. Hey Sinky. He's saying, "Did I click the right link or was it just cast the couch?" The cast the couch. He said, "Yeah, 2 guys, 1 GHB." So yeah, thanks guys. I think we've also got Mr. Graham Downs saying, "Mind all that lore, the stuff that exists around the rules, all the sweats are fighting to bend." Well, just you wait. We've not even delved into it. Nathan literally before we started the same said, "Have I told you about this thing?" Oh jeez. So anyway, so let's go over the bats. And also dormants have got 3 unique enhancements here that can be taken by your non-wizards. This one is a hand-carved nullstone icon. They can attempt to unbind 1 spell or attempt to dispel 1 end of spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. Okay, cool. Kind of first sentence, not particularly like thrilled by that because you can also just get that by heroic action as well. However, each time the bearer successfully unbinds a spell or dispels an end of spell using this ability, the bearer can attempt to unbind 1 additional spell in that phase. So you can actually get quite a decent little multi-chained dispel, which is kind of cool, like ungating.
See, to look at this and go, well, every wizard's got +2 or +3 to cast or destiny dice. They don't.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually okay.
It's cool. Yeah, like, if you're going,
unbinder.
Yeah, for sure. If you have no wizards at all and you're looking for something to take, because you can take these along with your given artifact as well. Like
it's another thing. It's like Tunnel Master was.
Yeah, your respects the champion. Yes. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. I would take that potentially. Yeah. Then we've got the Pouch of Null Dust. Once you're battle, at the start of the hero phase, you can see that the bearer will use their Pouch of Null Dust. If you do so, to the end of that phase, unmodified casting rolls that include a +1, a +2, or a +3 are treated as miscasts, or if a primal magic dice was rolled as part of the casting roll as primal miscast. In addition, roll a dice for each endless spell in the battlefield, and a 5-up that endless spell is dispelled. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So in the Khorne chat, there's been people like talk about how you can just shut down magic for a whole turn if you can get the Hex Scourger Skulls and you pop this. So against almost any army. Yeah,
because you're talking. So that's +1s, +2s, +3s, and +4s,
and +6. You know,
and then you also. And then also, if anything adds up to 8s as well, then you're screwed. Wow! So that's strong.
It's strong for a lot of factors. If you've got a couple of unbinds thrown in there as well, like it's unlikely that you've got a whole lot of stuff in your army that can unbind if it's not a wizard anyway.
Yeah.
If you've not got any wizards in it, and if you've got a wizard in yours, you can't take these. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, for armies like Khorne, I think that this would be pretty decent.
It's the thing, like they happen, like, and if you've got an army that has a lot of casts, then obviously the chance of a miscast happening are just exponentially grow. And then you're also now making it +2s and +3s. Like it's that. And then just the lastly added kicker as well, just like in a 5-up. And the spells are also just gone as well. Like those are as wild. So it's spells. Yeah. Which is cool. I really like that. And then the last one, we've got the Polished Nullstone Pebble. When the unit's picked, and when this unit is picked as the target of a spell ability, then any spell you can roll a dice and 4-up. The caster must pick another unit within 3 inches of the spell, within 3 inches of this unit, and within range of that spell or any spell's abilities to be targeted. If when picking another unit, there are no other units within 3 inches of this unit and within range, ignore the effect of that spell or the effect of that unit's spell abilities or this unit instead. So basically, we've got a 4-up spell ignore, or you pat it off to another unit, right? Okay.
It's pretty decent. Sorry. I'm kind of liking the look of this on my Khorne as well.
Yep.
Try and protect the banner guy. Like we're going into there's probably going to be a fair amount of Seraphon kicking about. They're going to be pretty strong with the magic stuff. So if there's these board-wide D3 mortal wounds and stuff like that, it can be quite an attractive target. So you would get a 5+ to ignore it with Corn. And if you fail that, you would then get a 4+ to ignore it.
Yeah.
And put it onto another unit that can then ignore it on a 5+. So you've got like a relatively good chance of stopping the spell, and getting a blood tithe, or stopping the spell and getting a blood tithe. Yeah.
You guys will notice that
This is for Corn Slack.
Nathan will be talking about Corn probably every sentence. I think because I think it's definitely good to highlight the fact that we're going into what seems to be quite a magic heavy meta.
Yes.
So it stands to reason that anti-magic stuff is potentially going to see a kind of a surge. So like
both sides are going to be like I kind of feel for those armies that kind of exist in the middle.
Yeah.
Because they're either going to just get cut down by the anti-magic, or they're going to get blown out of the water by the ones that are strong with the magic. I've seen a few reports so far with Seraphon in this new GHB. And it was just them getting their spells off all the time because they're casting on 3 or 4 d6 with +2 and nobody's ever getting a spell off against them.
Yeah.
Because they've been board by they've got bonuses done by, and they're adding in these dice as well. So I think that it's going to be rough until people find a way to cope, I think, without it. Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. And the thing is, we've got a whole year to do so. We've got a whole year to come with these coping mechanisms, don't we? So that's
there 3 months as well.
It's true. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely worthwhile to say that we don't have the battle scroll yet.
No, there's no points.
We don't have points yet either. So we're hoping soon. Like everyone's talking about 5 this week. We're hoping this week. We're hoping actually before we film this tonight that we might get it. But
there was a leak 2 nights ago from GW themselves. I suppose every week is a GW leak, but it was from the FAQ page that had the Beast of Chaos updated errata as the 6th of July, which is tomorrow, and then they took it down again. So hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
Last GHB we got it on the Monday before. So
interesting. Okay, so they're slipping, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they just don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so that's your Millstone Adornments. Let's talk about the Realm Sphere Magic. Now, these are spells that are only available to your Anthorian Loci.
Yes.
Yep. So let's go for let's go for the one everyone's been chatting about. So yeah, this one's a bit nuts. So we've got a spell. It's cast on 8 though.
Yeah.
Okay. So
good if you had a way to cast
you would hope that maybe the new rules will make this a lot easier. So range is 12. If you cast it, pick a friendly unit wholly within 12. Visible to the caster. You pick one melee weapon profile on that unit's war scroll and roll a d3. Change the to hit, to wound, or rend characteristic of that melee weapon to match the result until the start of your next hero phase. For example, if this result was a 2, you could change either the to hit characteristic to a 2+, the wound characteristic to a 2+, or the rend characteristic to -2. And a modified hit roll or wound roll of 1 always fails. I'm glad to put that in there. So
yeah,
that's good.
So,
yeah, kind of strong. If you get units in twos, we can get units running on twos, or you could potentially get units up to 3 range. Like you could take a unit from no range, which is 2 to 3 range, which is pretty nuts. You've been seeing a lot of people talking about what combos they're going to use this for. So they're going to take a little roll, they're going to take an Anthorian Locus, and they're going to combo with this unit that maybe, like raw stats wise, didn't have the output, but now it can have the output because of this spell.
Yeah, making units that couldn't really become 10 openers into 10 openers is pretty good. And it seems like there's very little downside to the spell as well, because if it goes off and you roll a 2, you're like, well, I kind of wanted rend 2 or 3 instead of rend 1.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just make my unit 2s instead. Or
yeah. There's always going to be there's always going to be upside, because say you've got a unit that already has rend 2, maybe has no access to wounded on 2s. So it's like, okay, I'll rather make them rend 3, we'll make them less.
Yes, like one of the combos that I've seen little talk about. I suppose I've seen a lot of people talking about like flesh eating corpse, ghouls being able to have quite a lot of output. I know that they've had some war scroll changes.
Horrors.
Yeah, even horrors.
The full hit rerolls.
Well, they don't get rerolls anymore.
Oh,
The reroll ones are gone.
oh,
I think that they'll still have access to
it's a
reroll
shame.
wounds from the zombie dragon spell because that has
That's a
been
real
changed.
shame because they don't just get reroll ones to hit. I'm sure they got full rerolls
Yeah,
to
so
hit
out of this new
for abhorrence.
out of this new book that's coming out with the new Harbinger models in it, Flesh Eater Courts are having a bunch of War Scroll changes.
Right. Okay.
I saw the leaks where now if you're within range of a abhorrent, you get rend added to your attacks. So ghouls basically go to rend 1, but they no longer get to reroll hit rolls as 1,
Interesting.
and horrors no longer get to reroll all hit rolls.
Is that what they on a big brick of horror?
Flare shooting changed to just normal kind of shooting attacks instead of mortal wounds, and they no longer do mortals on 6s. But they can pick up the abhorrents, so they can like kind of move them when they move. They teleport them about.
That's good.
So these rules exist somewhere on Twitter.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
All again, most likely as you all leaks as well.
Yeah, it's like in this book that's coming out the weekend. You know.
But yeah,
the one I was going to talk about, Splinter Prime. Because they have a lot of attacks. They do mortal wounds on a 6 and the attack sequence ends.
Yeah.
And they wound on 2s. So I was kind of thinking, well, you could have them on 2s and 2s.
Yeah.
Mortals on a 6 in addition, just for weight of dice. Or you could have them hitting on 4s, all attacking to 3s, wound on 2s, and rend 3, 6s that are mortal in addition.
Yeah.
You can buff their attack. I think they
have enough output.
They could be insane.
They could be horrendous. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Hoarfrost, we like it. Rupture. Spell cast upon 10. Range of 18 inches. Access the cast. Pick one predatory endless spell or one incarnate wholly within range. That target immediately becomes wild and cannot be picked to be controlled or bonded for the rest of the battle.
Yeah.
So talk to me because I'm kind of confused by this. Spell.
So there's 2 ways. I'll give you the kind of way that you won't see happen very often. But if your opponent has an incarnate in their army, now it's been rumoured for a long time we're getting more incarnates.
Okay, so yeah, that's true.
There could be more. That could be what we see in the next year, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe an extra couple of those. But with the one that we have already, if they deploy within 3 inches of it, rather foolishly, and you make it go wild, it tags the whole army. But I think what we might see this with initially, just because it'll be a hangover from the previous book, from the previous GHB, there was quite a strong Zinch list. It was quite popular at Worlds, and we saw it around the world of Guild Summoners with the Incarnate. You can make your own Incarnate go wild in that list by killing the hero it's bonded to. So you bond it to a Magister, suicide your Magister, and you've got a wild Incarnate. You can now do that without killing your Magister.
Yeah.
You just cast a spell on your own Incarnate, and it goes wild. You can then feed it endless spells. You've still got your wizard, so it basically makes that list a bit better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we might see points changes as well.
That's the kind of interesting thing as well, is we have seen the kind of the stocks and Carnage go quite down. Like we don't really see them in lists. The Kronspine was seen in a lot of lists.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, we're talking like maybe a year ago. He was in a lot of high performing lists at tournaments, and then we just kind of saw him drop off the map. It obviously went to quite a big points increase, but I guess it was maybe just the thing that he was good at, which I felt was monsters, like big old monsters. He was great at that kind of drop. That meta kind of dropped off, and therefore he kind of dropped off as well. So I don't generally think, I don't know how useful this spell is going to be when you compare it to Hoarfrost. Like I'd be taking Hoarfrost all day long over this spell.
But we'll come to it. There's a command trait where you get them all.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
I think we might also, maybe worth touching on at this point when we're halfway through it, I think we might see more people taking a spell enhancement. So when you take that battalion, you don't need to take an artifact. You can take Triumph, you can take a spell, a prayer. So I think we might see more people taking double spells, which could be interesting for the drop meta.
For sure.
But yeah, like I actually worry about this spell with Sebthon, because I think that they are also quite a magically proficient army that can include a Kronspine and feed it endless spells.
That's true.
And that's worrying.
Level 3 card. I suppose a Kronspine that can never die is an issue. You know, just Kronspine off the face of it, you know you're going to be in combat with it, or you're going to have to kill it at least twice, and then kind of that's it can dealt with. Yeah, something that can keep it alive forever is a way. And then the last one is Merciless Blizzards. It's a spell, casting value of 12, range of 12. Successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range of visible to cast, so that unit suffers 4d6 mortal wounds for
What the
each.
last sentence?
Oh my gosh. But for each roll of a 1, the caster also suffers d3 mortal wounds that cannot be negated. The range of the spell cannot be modified, must be measured from the caster, even if an ability that would allow you to measure it from elsewhere. So all you Troglodyte enjoyers out there, all you spell portal enjoyers out there as well, that's
You just get some like game out of this, like, would it not be cool if something just did like 20 mortal wounds? Like, yeah, that would be cool. Spell portal, Troglodyte, casting through woods.
I mean, the good thing is, Courtney already does that. But there's under 40 moments.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And yeah, like, this could do a lot of damage. Obviously, you have to have your wizard danger close. But there are ways to set this up. There's lots of ways, there's lots of movement things that you could probably do within different factions that can set up this cast. And then, you could just absolutely blam something with mortal wounds, which is awesome.
What I like about it is it's cast on a 12, so it's unlikely for the vast majority of wizards to access this without spending primal dice.
That's fair.
And when you spend primal dice, you've got an added chance of primal miscast.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that on the face of it, when you're looking at it, you're going, it's just stupid. But I like to think about the moments where people are like, I really want to cast this spell. It could do a lot of damage. I could also kill all my wizards.
Those high-stakes games, man. Sometimes you just got to.
Turn off and you can roll a double.
Exactly. But yeah, tournaments really, like back in fantasy when you had to pick the number of dice you would use to roll cast.
Yeah.
And like the more dice you used, it was a bit.
I never played fantasy, but
but like the more dice you used, the kind of the higher chance of something going off. But then if something did also go wrong, it was huge.
You done 40k as well, right? You had like your kind of Cyber the second edition, something like that. I don't remember. When I got into the hobby, I remember that there was like something with like psychic powers.
You could get like additional dice.
Yeah.
Cool. So picking that spell, pretty decent spell lore, and I reckon Core Frost, Merciless Blizzards are definitely good pickups there if you can. Take that for your Antorian Loci. We're now going to move on to command traits. We'll just kind of very quickly run through this. So we'll touch upon Shaman in the Chilled Lands. That's the one you were talking about, where the general knows all the spells. No, so you don't have to pick, which is awesome. Eye of the Blizzard, start your hero phase as generals in the battlefield with a dice to 5 at the beginning of primal magic dice. That's kind of cute.
Yeah,
nice.
So that's
your hero phase.
That can be an extra one.
An extra one.
Yeah.
So that can take you up to your 5 max. And then there is another way which with the
that battalion's at 3 up. Yeah.
So when we turn to the bone, once we've battled the general suffers a miscast or primal miscast, roll it down to 3 up. You can ignore the effects of that miscast or not miscast. Okay, so it keeps your Lantorian Locus general a bit safer from all those. And you could go then high and using a lot of those dice then. You could be like, it's cool because I've got a 66.666 chance that you won't die. Ether of Magic is the last one, which takes general success that back to spell, roll a dice with 5 up. Caster no longer knows that spell and may not cast it again against the battle.
Yeah.
So it's a 1 in 3 chance. But that's
spicy. Like I'm thinking it could be pretty decent for things like Purslane or something.
Because he already does bad when he unbinds.
When he unbinds, it can immediately cast the spell, right? So it could be cool. Or is it Green Magic? I can't remember. I don't know how it works.
He makes the person ignore it, forget it as well. I think.
Does he already do
that? So I'll double check with the Zeech mains or whatever. But I think that I don't use Zeech, so it's
is there anything that's pretty decent at unbinding? Because remember, you're making your general a sub-9 wind wizard.
I'm just thinking Slam. I'm thinking Slam.
Yeah, Slan and your Warsong Revenant, right? They tend to be your kind of general. Well, I suppose I don't know. I think the Warsong Revenant.
Warsong's usually the general because
you're the tree lord, right?
Again, you're giving up Spell Singer to put the vault. You're never taking that.
Yeah, there's probably not a lot of I've not looked at Seraphon enough, but the command traits strike me as maybe not being as.
I think the thing with Seraphon is out of all the command traits and the artifacts, it looks like there's one winner for each of those sections, and they're pretty strong. You've got the Seraphon one, which is the stave that allows you to bring things outside 7 inches, and then you've got the one that gives you the two of the points, the whatever you call it, points,
Points.
which just think people are going to want that for the engine, the constellation points engine, as opposed to this. I think it's quite cute as well. Like that's not bad. If you're at a loose end, and then we'll touch on the battalions.
Yes.
So we've got Antorian collects. So this you can take. You need to take a minimum of two. You need to take a minimum of hero with a wounds characteristic of less than 10 that doesn't have amount and is not unique.
Yep.
So it's not actually an Antorian locus. You could just take a hero. It doesn't have to be wizards.
You need to have 2 locus to get the rule.
Right, okay. So you need to take a minimum of those 2 models, but you could also take a third as well.
Something,
you could take a third something. But yes, at the start of the hero phase, if there are 2 or more friendly Antorian locus units in this battalion, the battlefield roll dice are 3 up, you gain 1 primal magic dice. And this is just the hero phase. Not
yes, you do this in both.
phase. So this is simple as well.
You're the only one that gets it. Yeah, so when you roll that 3 plus,
you're going to cut okay, so that's kind of cool. So I can see, like, if you're taking multiple things, and again, if you're wanting to take, warlord battalions, and your command entourages to get things like additional like spell wars and artifacts, things like that. What I'm saying is, if you're not going to tailor into a 1-drop, and you're taking a 3-drop battalion, a 4-drop battalion anyway, I could see a lot of people just taking this as well, because it just gives them more dice. It's true. If they obviously have Antorian Loci in their army. And then you've got this one here, which is interesting. So you're smiling, which makes me worried. But I'm also like, I'm not taken by it. So we've got Magic Hunters, so Wizard Finders of Antor, right? Wizard Finders? Like, surely they're going to handle them Wizard Finders. Yes. Jeez, what chapter? I know, right? So they clearly can't shame my purpose. Okay, so Magic Searchers of Andor. So we've got each time the unit's battalion is going to fight, you can say that it will go on a wizard hunt. If you do so, pick 1 melee weapon profile that unit's war scroll. So at the end of that phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that melee weapon, but all of the attacks that unit makes that phase must have been a wizard. Wizards cannot be included in this battalion. Cool.
It'll be a meta call.
Right.
Like, if you find yourself where there's like Archeons everywhere, and the gashes everywhere, I need something that can crack open those.
One extra.
It's the fact you then need to put every single attack against that unit as well. Like, it'd be really good against, like, Lumineth, I guess.
It just says must target an enemy wizard. So it doesn't have to go into that wizard.
It could be, if you've
attacked multiple wizards, then you can do that. But yeah, when's that?
I see it being, like, if you think about it, Sharpshooters was only really seen in the last month of the GHB, right? Like, nobody kind of leaned into it, and then we saw Lumineth going from 1-drop to 4 to include it. I see it being something similar to that. It's going to be a meta call of, I think I can increase my win percentage against X army if I include this battalion. So I'm not saying we're not going to see it at all. I just don't think we'll see it a lot initially.
Yeah,
I think it's something people can experiment with. I think it will be down the line when they identify a problem, it might help them solve the problem.
I definitely want a 1-drop over that, that's for sure. Right, so grand strats, let's keep it moving. So we've got control the Nexus. In the battle engine group is grand strat. 2 or more friendly wizard units are wholly within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. I don't love it, but it's potentially doable. Spellcasting Savant. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if the model picked to be a general is an Antorian locus and that unit has not been slain. So keep your general alive. Nice, that's pretty good. Slaughter of Sorcery. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if there are no wizard units on the battlefield. So I'm thinking here you would want to be a faction that doesn't have any wizards either, and you want to try and kill all the wizards. Maybe later.
This one seems the best one. Because sometimes you just score it at the start of the game.
Exactly. Yeah, if you come up against an army that has no wizards,
and you don't have it on yourself.
Then
cool. So I don't see Fire Slayers adopting it over Master of the Forge.
Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, for sure.
I don't see KO adopting it over Master of the Skies.
They have. Yeah, that's
the boat.
Okay.
Seems a bit.
No behemoths, no flying behemoths yet.
Khorne, who don't have any decent book ones. Like the only other one that doesn't have wizards. It can be decent for them as well. Sons of Behemoth, I guess they've got the one where every unit has to run or charge.
Yeah.
Or like something has to run or charge every turn of the game.
I like the one where they
That's
just have to
maybe
have
better.
they have to have two units within enemy territory at the end, or everything has to be
Everything has to be in enemy territory. Some
Yeah.
of these deployments look a bit sketch for that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I see Slaughter of Sorcery being one that you might see a bit more than the others.
Mhm.
Overshadow we might see. But
Yeah,
moving on.
okay.
Yeah.
So we've got Baron, Escape, Fat Lens. You complete this grand strat if all enemy units have artifacts of power destroyed, or they're banned. Oh gosh, and there are no enemy units within 6 inches. Then you hate it, hate it, hate it. Even without the ads, with that
And 6 inches is it?
Jeepers. So no overshadow in battle lines. You complete this grand strat. All enemy battle line units from your opponents are starting on it are destroyed, and there is at least one friendly battle line unit from you starting on it on the battle. Again, it's hard, an auto. It's not difficult. But yeah, it's something maybe that some armies might have to take and kind of key into this strat.
Don't have an auto one in your GHB, and you think like at the end of the game, what am I more likely to have? Am I more likely to have one Sentinel left alive among the myth list or whatever?
Yeah.
Like you just get it if you can kill all the battle line.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I see that would be okay.
Then we've got Magic Made Manifest. In the battle end, you complete this grand strat if there are 2 or more endless spells or incarnates on the battlefield.
Incarnates.
Controlled by or bonded to defend units. So I think this does definitely tie in. This also ties into your thoughts on we're going to get multiple incarnates.
I think that when the incarnate came out, they did tell us that, or they insinuated that there was going to be more, right?
So for sure. So yeah, I don't love those grand strats. So I feel like it's if you have a big grand strat, it's fun pickings here. So not a huge fan of that. Battle tactics, let's go for it. So 8. These are brand spanking new. There's no tie overs from last GHB, so it's just everything is brand new. So we've got. Now, just in terms of initial thoughts, it's quite good because we've had multiple questions. Just like, for example, Kyle was asking about he wanted to have us have a chat about which battle tactics do you think are just going to be inherently easier to do, and like you could like tip into, and what you think is going to be kind of mostly getting done. There are some ones in here that, depending on the faction you're running, could be pretty easy. Yeah. For some factions, it could be impossible. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I think you should rank them. So I think I'm definitely going to be ranking the ones I think in my head. I think I'm looking at in terms of I'm going to try and do this one, then this one, and this one. It is not just what ones are the best or the easiest, but it's also in terms of sequencing as well.
You can highlight your turns a lot more with these.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so let's go for it. So we've got Intimidate Invaders. With this battle tactic, at the end of your turn, if there are more friendly units wholly outside your territory than there are friendly units within your territory. And this is interesting because so you have to have one outside and just within. So so you have to be 100%, have to be cool. And again, depending on the battle plan, territories can be huge, territories can be also quite small. So it all depends. But yeah, so that one I think could be really easily doable. Again, it depends. So yeah, I quite like that one. Reprisal, complete this battle tactic with an enemy unit that destroyed a friendly general. Early in the battle is destroyed on this turn. Super.
It's a reactive one.
It's a reactive one. It's also something that you could just set up. You could suicide your general into something, have it get killed by something, and then you just take it out. So
when you got to Worlds level, you started thinking through eye for an eye, which was kind of what we're talking about here, where you would deliberately try to lose a unit before going into the roll off for the double turn.
Yeah.
So you could open up eye for an eye in the next turn. So yeah, you could probably orchestrate the death of your own general.
Sure. I think maybe if you could potentially do this later in the battle, because your general's not as, you don't need the CP anymore kind of thing. You're just like, it's maybe my 4th or 5th battle tactic. You could set this up for sure. Which is cool. And then the Endless Expropriation. Wow, what a word to say. One enemy is controlling or bonded to an endless spell, or incarnate. Place answer the end of your turn. If any following are true, the enemy unit has been destroyed. The enemy spell is wiped. The enemy spell is controlled by or bonded to friendly unit. The incarnate is wiped. Yeah. This is so subjective. This is so super niche here.
So yeah, if you are going to be playing with endless spells, you just need to be aware that you could be opening it up to that model who is bonded to that endless spell.
Yeah.
But I suppose there are, like we've seen the war scrolls for the new endless, or the endless spells. Some of them have changed. Some of the predatory endless spells are a little bit better.
Yeah.
We might see bonded endless spells again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't particularly rate that battle tactic.
Yeah.
I think that is, if you're scraping the bottom of the barrel,
Oh, for sure.
tactic.
I mean, if you're up against somebody and they have an incarnate and you have some way of making it wild, so either you've taken that spell to make incarnates wild or you've got some way of killing that hero, then cool. But I don't see me doing this very often. So yeah, number 4, magical dominance. You can put this battle tactic at the end of your turn. A friendly wizard unit successfully cast one or more spells, and none of the spells cast by any units in your army were unbound. So I really like this tactic. Yeah, I like it for the turn 1 tactic and for going fast, because you can potentially sit your wizards out of unbound range and say, I don't know, like there's a few abilities to get things like either +1 or +2 to cast, or maybe a reroll cast, and you just make it cast the easiest spell you possibly can. So that could either be a 4 for Flaming Weapon, it could be a 5 for Mystic Shield. You just have the cast, it's not bound, get a battle tactic, cool, and you move on.
Yeah.
And that's obviously you need to have a wizard to do that, but I could see me definitely taking at least one wizard in a list to just get this tactic. I think it's one tactic where
Exactly.
you're going first and you could just get it done. I quite like it.
Yeah, as far as turn 1 battle tactics go, if you're in a position where you've either decided to go first or you've been made to go first, it's probably the easiest to achieve across all the missions.
Yeah.
Because you can deploy in such a way that you can't be unbound.
Yes.
And it does become a lot riskier to do later in the game when people get within unbound range. So it's maybe one that if you're planning out your turns, you want to get rid of early.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, no, I can see it. I can see it being quite good. But as we'll touch on, I suppose, at the end of the battle tactics, I think that what they've done with these ones is that they've kind of made it a bit easier to go second in turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
It'll maybe come up when we look at the missions as well. But yeah, I think that we're in a position now where going second is maybe a bit different from the last 2.
Yes, because it's interesting because I remember, that is remembering way back, when you used to want to go second for the Handbook play for the double, or not even play for the double, but have the potential of a double. And usually the person going, fuck, didn't really do much for their turn. They could get more positions. That's it. And then you saw that flip to no, like going first is actually pretty huge, because if you go first, you can get board control, you can deny battle tactics for them in turn 1, you can get up all your buffs, you can do whatever, and then even if they get the double, it's still not as impactful to you. So yeah, I'm really interested in the kind of play of, well, do we want to be given first away? Do you want to build a 1-drop? Make them 1-drops to give them first, to then go second, maybe play for the double, whatever, or is it still going first as king? So it's going to be quite cool.
There's a chance that we could end up being going second, but not taking the double. Could be king.
Yes,
which is interesting.
The thing is, though, that is always king, isn't it? Having the double, but then actually, no, you take it. Like, so that's the king move.
That is the king move. But like, that's the thing. We were in a meta where you could take first, give your opponent the chance of doubling you. But equally, if you win the priority, give them the double anyway. I found the best way, at least the armies I was playing, it was always really good to get doubled.
Yeah.
So that you could double 2 into 3.
So it's pretty strong.
I just feel that now we could be in a place where you don't go first, but you go second. You win the double, but you don't take the double, you give it away. Because we'll get to it in the missions, but there's a lot of bonuses to going second on some of the missions. You get an extra unbind in your opponent's turn, an extra cast, or you can get an extra CP as well. Like, I don't know. I think that we could be, a lot needs to be experimented with.
Yeah.
And I think that we could see a shake-up.
Cool, I like it.
It's cool.
I love a shake-up. Cool. So that's magical dominance. We've got magical mayhem. One in the unit that feels good at this battle tactic of that unit is destroyed by damage inflicted by spell or the ability of the end of spell. Okay, so your Lumineth, your Seraphon, your whatever, they'll just be doing they'll be doing this for funsies.
The arcane bolt.
Yeah, again, you could be scraping there and going for the last ditch attempt type thing, but yeah. So magical mayhem, cool. And for big turn, you put battle tactics with 2 or more friendly units retreat this turn, and 2 or more different friendly units make a charge move this turn. The word different is huge there. So I was like, oh, boy, that's a charge back in. But yeah, so I think that's something that can definitely be set up but it does warrant to have more units, which kind of a wee bit of a theme here I'm finding is that you kind of want more assets for these tactics because there's one we're going to touch upon as well, which is the Sound Destroy. Let's talk about this one. So we'll do this. So we'll do Bait and Trap.
Yeah.
Okay, led into the Maelstrom, you complete this battle tactic of one or more friendly heroes and one or more friendly battle line units, each made a charge with this turn, and at least one of those units is within 3 inches of an enemy unit in this turn. Cool.
Yeah.
And then surround and destroy. Pick 3 different friendly units in the battlefield. Complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn. Each of those units is wholly within 6 inches of a different battlefield edge, and 2 or more of those units are wholly outside. Whoa! There's a shout there. Outside of your territory. Right. So that really plays into the point I was just kind of making here. Having more assets is going to be huge because surround and destroy, you need 3 different units, and pretty much I'm thinking potentially throwaway units that you're needing to have. A whole within 6, 3 different edges, and you get your battle tactic. That's it. So you're just things like your 5-man little units of chaff, your 10-man units of chaff, your Aether Wings, T-Revs, all these different things are going to see so much good play. So we've always had ones like tactics where you've had to have 1 or 2 mobile units that can go out and do stuff. So desecrates, your what was the other one as well? It was like you had to have 2 units wholly within enemy territory. You know what I mean? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. That was a great one. Right? Everyone took 2 units of tree reps to do that one, right? So it's like now you need to game plan for that one. Yeah, I mean, nice as well. You've got, I think it's that. Then you've got led into the Maelstrom, so you need your general. Sorry, no, it's just 1 friendly hero. One friendly hero, 1 battle line unit charged. One of them has to be within 3. Again, quite doable for a lot.
Seen that armies in a couple of army books as well.
Yeah.
So I'll touch on what I was saying. So you're talking like your turn 1, you do the cast a spell, none unbound, kind of decent turn 1 battle tactic. But a lot of the armies that went first tended to want to mitigate the double. And to mitigate the double, you normally need to get onto objectives and screen out.
Push out your screens.
Yes, you push out your screens. So if you do that and you push out your screens, you make it hard for your opponent on a lot of the missions to get outside of their territory.
Yeah. So that's
denying those tactics.
Intimidate the invaders.
Yeah.
It's that one.
But you also make it easier for them to charge your unit with a hero or a battle line and orchestrate scoring that battle tactic. And you make it easier, in some cases, like I'm thinking Slaves to Darkness, to retreat 2 units and charge with 2 units.
Yeah.
So those strategies that have existed for the last year of going first and score and pin become weaker to leaving you open to these battle tactics. And equally, if you decide to sit back, you then open up to getting outside your territory.
Yes.
Or the flanking one as well, if you decide to cancel. So I feel like there's options that exist now for going second, whereas in the last handbook, you could go first, you could cunning maneuver, you could screen out your enemy's cunning maneuver, and you could screen out and desecrate. You could make it pretty awkward for turn 1 battle tactic.
Battle tactic.
So from Corn again, don't have a good turn 1 battle tactic. And if I was made to go first and nobody came close enough for me to get into them, then you were kind of clutching for straws for that turn 1. You were having to like hero phase move and pull a unit and charge it and kill more than 8 models per unit. Like you're kind of needing to explain.
Which is all failable.
Yeah, exactly. So now there's options. If they castle, well, I can build my list to score the one where I take 3 board edges or get outside my territory. Or if you're cheeky and include a wizard, and there are ways to include a wizard in Corn, try and cast a spell and not be unbound. So I feel like going second is maybe not as punishing as going first as it was before.
Yes. No, for sure. Okay. So in terms of battle tactics, I like, so if we're talking about the ones that I'd be looking at
to plan into your
planning, I think I'm definitely planning magical dominance. For just a cheeky 1 cast out of unbind range. Got it. Right, cool. Definitely planning in surround and destroy. Definitely planning in intimidate the invaders. Definitely planning in led into the Maelstrom, and potentially bait and trap. I think bait and trap is doable.
Bait and trap and led into the Maelstrom seem reactive. I think that you'd intimidate the invaders, magical dominance, and surround and destroy are the battle tactics you should be thinking about for your turn 1.
Also completely uninteractive as well. You can't to do anything to your opponent to get those.
So those ones are the ones that you should be thinking about at list creation, I think. And when you're looking at missions and stuff, thinking, these are, if you've not got book ones, obviously, but they are your kind of turn one.
So we only need to score 5 a game, right? So that's 3 done. If you can, at the list writing stages, you're saying, Nathan, if you can basically make your army just get those 3, then you're just then playing into, you're then looking for, well, can I get bait and trap? Can I get Maelstrom as well? Could I even get a cheeky magical mayhem as well, killing a unit with some spells, bad spellcasters, whatever, or 1 or 2 of my book battle tactics if you've got a good book.
If you've got good ones, yeah.
And again, you're going to see there's no secret that the armies, the top performing armies that have been happening in the past few months, they've all got really good book battle tactics, and then you can have potentially 8 to 9 battle tactics that they can just do. Yep. So you need to be looking at that and plan.
So a lot of those were ones I think people are getting smart to. So when I'm playing against Fire Slayers and KO, I'm now not deploying on my objective.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're playing against Tzeentch and Lumineth, it's now riskier to cast those spells. Like, so Blind the Enemy is going to be more failable now, that people could potentially better unbinds.
For sure.
And likewise with the Tzeentch one, to cast 3 spells with Kairos or whatever, that's good. Like, Cogs has changed, like the war scope for Cogs.
Yeah,
so it's like, I think that there's maybe been some subtle nerfs there.
Yeah.
Some of the kind of just gimme auto battle tactics. Doc are still nuts. But I think most armies are kind of fitting into that sort of, these tactics are a bit more failable, and they might be leaning on the GHB ones a bit more.
Yeah,
turn 1.
For sure. Cool. Now we will touch. I think we need to touch very briefly on tactics, because that's an hour in. Now we won't go through each and every one with a fine tooth comb, but just in terms of overall thoughts about
the missions,
about the battle plans.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Yeah. So as I said, I think that there's a couple of cool mechanics there. We've been seeing now for a couple of years, they've been trying to find the balance between going first and going second.
Yeah.
As you alluded to, it was kind of seen as the big brain play to go second, so you could take a double and just table your opponent back in the day. But like those in the know, I would say, have been kind of moving towards taking first.
Yeah.
It just always was stronger. But now you've got like Geomatic Pulse. If you take second in the second turn, you get to pick the side of the board that the objective is going to be giving bonus points. So if your opponent gets the double turn and they've picked the wrong side, that could score quite a lot of points against them. So quite a big bonus there. Nexus Collapse is probably, on the face of it, actually my favourite mission, just from the kind of interesting things that it makes you do. Now, it has the potential to be rather toxic because you can delete all the objectives. And I know a lot of people don't like it when there's a table with no objectives on it.
Well, twists and turns definitely turn up our heads. Worlds, even before that as well. I mean, TOs just weren't playing it because of the fact that you could always turn off for one person, you could just lose.
At least these turn off for everybody.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
What I like about this is you get to delete up to 2 objectives if you have less points, if you've scored less points than your opponent. So theoretically, you could be going first in the turn, have less points than your opponent, get to delete 2 objectives, score yours, surround and defend your position, and then make it harder for them to score any. But I like the idea of, you've scored 5, I could score 5, but I'm going to deliberately score 4. So then I can get 2, it goes into a priority roll. And then if you're tied on objectives, if you're tied on points, you roll off, and the winner of the roll off gets to delete 1. But I think it's quite cool. Like, I like the thought of it's turn 3. I could equal points. I could exceed points, or I could play.
That's interesting, actually. I've definitely not seen a mechanic where someone wants to purposefully score less points opponent. It's that. That's we got.
Communication is the one. I think tonight, was it?
No, we are playing. Which one did I roll up again? We are playing No Reward Without Risk.
No Reward. So we're going to play. What's the lines of communication?
I think it's the CP one. Is that right?
Yeah, you double the cost of CP or something. Or
a 3+, which is cool. Oh gosh, yeah, for sure. Just making everything total clips, yeah. Cool.
Give every step forward is
Give them a round.
if an enemy unit makes a charge move until the end of the turn, add 1 to the number of models that they count towards.
And if you choose to retreat, you can't possess objectives.
Which is points out nobody retreats anymore.
Oh, I feel like you got to love someone retreating to them and you can objective or whatever. Like, there's a lot of play in retreating.
Yeah.
And just not standing and fighting for turn after turn, but then just can't possess
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Limited resources is it's going to take a few reads through.
Yeah, the siphon meltwater. Yeah, this thing. Yeah.
I think like is it you can siphon the meltwater and then you can no longer score it, but your opponent could then score it.
So when a player gains control, they start to siphon, right? And then after you score victory points, and then for the rest of the battle, that player cannot control that objective.
It's going to take some planning through.
So that's it. Once you've scored that objective, you're done.
Yep.
So you then have to go look at others. So really, yeah, you're looking at, I think, for me, going first looks better in that one, because then at least you only need to take 2 to get the whole game. And then you still got 4 to play for, and then it's just, you could end up with like no objective left in the view. Yeah, you just play for battle tactics.
There's also one the deployment zones. I don't think they have ever been so varied.
Yeah.
I think that we kind of it's quite a varied deployment zone, but we did just speak about battle tactics. I've got a list that I might make available to you if you want to include it on your show notes or something. I kind of posted it in our squad chat. Somebody very broke down the minimum ranges that you need to be able to move to score the one where you need to get those 3 table edges. So that like you're going to need to really think these through. Like for sure, it's a lot harder on corner deployments, for example.
The deployments on the territories and also just the objectives.
Objectives are
wild, actually. Yeah, especially for that one, limited resources. But the 2
objectives are placed as well. So and you now can no longer use gauges because a lot of the objectives are placed 6.5 inches from a table edge or 7.5 inches from a table edge. Yeah, because of the 11 by 15 or 5.5, I guess. Yeah, so they're in kind of weird places now. For sure. Like we've never seen this the diagonal lines across the map. That's
nuts. So we've got a good variance. In the trap. And you've got units into reserve, which is cool like that. Fountains of Frost. This is the one where you suffer a lot of wounds. I think we also saw was it Stu playing that the other day there, I think, with Eric. And just nice fields he was playing. Was he playing nice fields? Yeah, it was all slippery. That's the next one. Yeah, I hate this one. All your little heroes want to run to keep up D3 mortal wounds. D3 mortal wounds. But yeah, if you make a charge roll for a unit, each 3 shows a 1, that's hilarious. So if you just roll double ones, it's 2d3 charge. Catch a little hero and he just dies. Hilarious. So yeah, slippery ice fields. Frigid Zephyr, you've got Squall, Ferocious Squall. Oh, and that one's quite powerful. So, for shooting. That's for shooting, yeah. Or risk. Risk will play that tonight, which is kind of cool. This is the kind of feedback overload. So when you kill a wizard, like it could just explode. Basically. Yeah, kind of cool. You get the Towers of the Tundra. 2 objectives to fight over here. Oh yeah, this is the Wizard's Tower. Yeah, the Wizard's Tower is cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I like the Wizard's Tower. Mechanic. Yeah, you force like this is now where we're starting. I think there's actually 2 missions that force you to have. Maybe it is only one. That force you to have a garrison now. Yes. So they're actually starting to enforce scenery. The scenery rules that have existed, by the way, in the GHB. It's a total throwback to. I know you never played fantasy, but I know. Do you know the moving tower? It's just like you're like if you take this one and then take the other one, you auto one. But this isn't like an auto thing. But yes, it's kind of funny. And then the other one, which for some reason is at the start of my GHB Power Flux, as well. You've got the Ether Surges. And that's the kind of activation wars one. So the start of battle round, which player takes first turn, player takes the second turn, chooses which pair of objectives become active, which is kind of cool. So again, the go and second theme kind of gets stronger. So yeah, really varied battle plans. I can't wait to play them all. Like I don't really have much else to say about them until I've sat or stood and played every single one of them to kind of get a feel for it. But they look cool, look varied, and yeah, they look really, really fun. Which is cool. And then I guess the one other thing to kind of touch upon before we can answer some questions is the changes to end spells. Yeah. So, and Off the top of my head, the big changes are cogs.
Yep.
Yeah. We've also seen changes to Geminids.
Gemini's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Palisade.
Palisade's same, I think.
No.
Because it always did increase in range. I think it's
No,
now.
this just makes a unit not shoot.
Yeah, that's what it did before. I think it's actually worse now.
It made it -1 to hit. It didn't make it not shoot. No way. So nobody was running that because even though it's a 3-up, you can make a unit and just never.
It never used to be on a 3-up. It used to just happen. Like they've actually, they did. They've made it
worse. Locked line of sight.
No,
did remove shit.
They did.
Well, that's
check. So check your GHP.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, I think somebody pointed out to me because I thought it's different.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, it's actually worse than it was before.
Oh, alright, okay, fair dues. So that's fine. So Horrorghast same?
I think so.
Horrorghast same. Aether Void Pendulum did it.
It's pendulum there.
So that's true. Oh, you
It's the just moving straight line now.
This is every unit it passes over. It used to just be pick one, right?
Yeah. So now it can move in 2 directions.
So every unit is on a 2-up. So for D6 models, that's pretty nuts actually. I think people can
Pendulum's going to be good. We need to see points for all of these, obviously. That's what there's context of how much they're going to cost.
Yeah.
Like Gemini should cost more than 50 points now, I think. Because it used to turn off command abilities until the end of the shooting phase.
Mm-hmm.
It now turns off command abilities until your next turn phase.
Which is insane.
It's nuts.
Those for just for one enemy unit, or is it within an aura, or?
I think every unit gets to be
each unit that has any models that it passed across.
And there's 2 bits.
Good lord. Yeah, it could be one did one thing, one did the other. Like one model and the other one shot off it. But now it's just
it's either going to be 100 points or it might get day 1 FAQ because it seems
nuts.
Yeah, it seems like it should maybe go back to just being until the end of the combat phase.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, until your next hero phase is abusive.
For sure. Cogs change, no more rerolls.
No more rerolls.
No more rerolls. It's either you still get reroll charges.
Yeah.
Each time.
Cast
If you decrease flow of time, you just add 1 to saves and subtract 1 from hit rolls. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Oh no, sorry. You can attempt to cast Arcane Bolt or Mystic Shield and their hero puts a penny with it. So you get to cast that for freezes, and then you subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks for wizard heroes at within 6. So not.
So I'm trying to think of the armies that we used to see take this was mostly Siege, right?
Siege, Seraphon,
Tome of Eyes, like
Ash.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Not anymore.
No, I think that you'll probably see Siege swap to the Tome of Eyes.
Yeah.
So they can reroll casts.
That's good.
Caster,
Yeah. You got Life Swarm, that looks same.
D3 heal.
D3 heal, that's fine. Gemini's, I've already touched on one, which is nuts. 11 Maelstrom, I'm not.
That one's better now.
Oh, is it better?
Yeah, so it does
like what, 10 points or something?
I think it does like multiple mortal wounds. It does a lot more mortals than it used to, and it's guaranteed, I think.
Okay.
It used to be when it exploded, you roll the dice, and then on a certain result, it did mortals. Now it just does mortals, I think.
Sure. We've got Palisades, which is can shot off shoot. Which is here. We've got the Sun, which doesn't look like it's changed. Swords, which doesn't look like it's changed. Could it always not be negated with
that's
fine. No longer has the caveat of pluses to roll with a chaos. It's just
it didn't in the last HP either, but
so the last swords.
It's not been racist for a while.
We've got Gnashing Jaws, same. 2 up, mortal wounds, minus that.
Created Bridge is the
Shackles looks kind of. Let's see. Well, at start of the movement phase, roll a dice for each unit within 6, subtract the result from that unit's move characteristics until the end of this phase. In addition, this unit's move character is reduced to 0 versatility. It suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, your little slow movers, your dwarfies, if you roll 4 the dice, couple of D3 and they can't move.
Combos, right? You've got your spells that can half move and then like overwhelming heat.
For sure.
There's the shards of Valgahar,
which might as well. So see then that's enough. Just roll a dice and take that much off your move. Cool.
You still need to set them up in the kind of triangle.
Parts of then the spell wholly within 3 inches of each other.
Yeah, so like a wee mini triangle.
And then we've got Suffocating Gravetide, which somebody in the chat was kind of bumping that up. Yeah.
At the moment, it's 20 points or 30 points or something.
Okay. So again, it's like a horde, maybe not clearer, but thinner.
Yeah.
It's roll a number of dice for each model in the unit, 5 up model wounds, cool.
Mm.
Burning heads, which some people say have got a bit spicier. Pick an enemy unit with an endless spell, it's moved. 2 up, it's treated as part of that enemy's unit until the unit's destroyed. And when it's part of a unit, at the end of each movement phase, roll a dice and 2 up that unit takes D3 model wounds. So basically, like, bouncing around with them.
Yeah.
Every time they move, or at the end of each movement phase, they just take mortals. So
I like that.
it's cast on a.
What is that? Oh, that's the second stuff I'm doing.
That could be unbound, but
It's still pretty
for sure. That's pretty cool. And you use the burning head as a little marker and it's around, which is cool. You've got spell portal, which doesn't look like it's changed. Okay.
So it's very simple change, but yeah, it has to be set within an inch of the caster.
And they're also checking visibility for unbinds. Sorry, we're checking range for unbinds from the portal as well.
Why does it say that?
I don't know. It's in my brain for some reason.
Rumor it's been a flying.
So yeah, what
just know that it's the caster, set within an inch of the caster, and then the other parts wholly within 18 of the caster.
Yes, it is the range of the range of the effects. That's what we can measure. Additionals per turn. No, sorry, that's not.
Does it say that only the caster can use the arcane passage?
Just for the range of.
No. Okay. Well, it's like a.
When a wizard's within 1 inch of the end spell attempts to cast it.
Yeah. So if you wanted to do what you would maybe do with like Lumineth or Techless caster, you're going to need to put your Cathalar, for example, within close enough range to Techless so that when he casts it, Techless can then be within an inch of it.
Yeah.
Because one part needs to go within an inch of the caster now.
Yes.
You just now can't add 36 inches to the range of the spell by casting one that way and one the other way. Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Which is better now. It nerfs a little bit.
And then bridge, is that still just one friendly unit?
So
is that always the case? One?
Always has been one, but now the unit that uses the ability to teleport cannot issue or receive commands until their next hero phase.
Cool.
So when they teleport, they then can't receive all attack, all defense.
Kind of dumbs down, but kind of like reduces down the output.
Like it's
like shooting
unit was Thunderers normally that we saw. So yeah, it kind of limits their impact if they now can't inspire in presence. They can't all out defense. Like makes them a lot more vulnerable.
For sure. Then we've got shards. Well, units within 6 inches of any spells with ability. Units can't fly or be removed from the battlefield, and then effective ability to set up at the same turn. In addition, units cannot be set up within 6 inches of the end spell. So kind of like a null zone of can't be set up there, can't fly, you can't teleport.
So it did have part of that in its rules anyway, but it used to be you would move one each turn and then you would draw a line between the two. So it's a bit complicated form as well.
It doesn't do that now.
And it's two big parts, and they're quite big bases as well. So you could like stick them around an objective, and then you know that you can't deep strike onto that objective sort of thing. If you wanted to like steal it with your tree revenants or something.
And then we've got lunchbox. What's that? Before the commanding player moves his end of spell, one friendly wizard with a wind's characteristic of 9 or less.
No drag ball. No bringy dingy. No circles.
Remove that wizard from the battlefield after the end spells. So it's pretty much the same as that. And they can make a normal move or unfallen foot, so that's the great as well. Sorry. But yeah, so bank wall stonks down.
Yeah, probably. He's still a good wizard.
He's still a good wizard. +3 or +4 to cast.
That's great spells.
He is hauling his big rat ass up fields. He's not locked on around the place. So yeah, that's every single thing in the GHB. That's all of it. Now, what I'd like to do is touch upon some questions that the community has put out to ourselves. So I'll just catch up the chat as well. Raphael has basically said this is the anti-magic GHB. He's put his stamp on that. We've then got Paul the Duca, Sabazuka. He's saying Gracier meta. Oh, okay, interesting. He does love his rats, he loves his scathing. Reese then said the have more units outside deployment will be so good for Tree Lords. I mean, just for Sylvaneth in general, their mobility. And then also the war song for your Antorian. Oh, for your Locust, yeah, that's nuts.
I think they might be one of the strong. Like, so when the most recent GHB came out, people quite quickly pointed the finger at Lumineth,
Yeah.
and rightly so. It did end up being like one of the best armies. I think Sylvaneth might slip under the radar. Everybody's kind of looking at Seraphon, right?
Everyone's basically just all pointing at the lizards.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes, I think Sylvaneth could be pretty good.
For sure. Yeah. I like it. And yeah, so let's talk about some stuff. So we've had Kyle, he's asked, he wanted to, I think we've probably kind of already answered this, but we could touch on it again if need be. He said he wanted to explore the plausibility of tactics a bit, and GW's moving to harder to achieve the grand strats and battle tactics, and also see your thoughts on what's the most universally achievable. So I think we've already spoken about what's most universally achievable for your battle tactics and your grand strats. We did speak about that, right? It looks as if for grand strats, either take a book one or do the one which is kill the battle line and have a battle line alive, pretty much. That looks like the most achievable. And then for battle tactics, we've kind of already talked through that as well. Now, it's interesting. Do you think that these battle tactics and grand strats are harder to achieve than the last GHB? I don't think they are.
No, like
I think they could be on par. There's not so many ones which is just like pick a unit, kill it. Pick a unit, kill it, or hold more and kill it, and kill a unit back.
I think that they're harder if you don't weigh in designing your list for it. Like I feel like in the last GHB there was battle tactics that were equally failable, but you didn't really need to build it into your list design. Like you weren't ever thinking, when am I going to kill a unit and hold more objectives? Because when you build an army, you need to be able to kill units or capture a piece of scenery in enemy territory. You probably need to move about the battlefield. Like you're not planning it through beyond having a hero
on an objective.
Like that was the only list design part was, do you have a Galatian map here? Yeah. So I think now, if you don't want to put as much thought into the design of your list, and I think that's one of the best parts of the game. It's one of the bits I spend the most time. I think that they aren't harder.
Yeah.
I think that you can realistically make a game plan for most of your matchups, whether you get first turn or not, to be able to score battle tactics, which I find quite exciting. Like I like the idea of having a little notebook down of, okay, it's this mission, this matchup. This is my kind of strategy. This is my playbook, if you will. I like that idea. Yeah.
And I think having a almost like pre-rehearsed battle strategy. Like like I'm going to for this tactic, and then but if that changes, I need to know which one I'm then going to.
You need to know how to react to stuff. That's pretty cool.
Which is cool. I like that. So that's thoughts there. We've also had Mr. Ross Jerry. He's been a godsend. He's sent me like all the questions. So we're going to go through this. So he said, he's asked, is this the year of magic or is it the year of primordial unbound? So that's interesting. I think we've also kind of touched on this as well, whereas I think a lot of your heavy magic using factions have definitely seen like a tick in their ability to do well. And I think that a lot of your anti-magic stuff is also seeing an uptick as well. And as you kind of said, you kind of feel bad for the ones in between that don't necessarily harness strong casting, and they also don't have the strong anti-magic. They're just kind of in the middle. Like I always used to liken it back to like Feck. Like Feck with an army that could be amazing as long as you got your little buff spells off. As long as you got your plus D3 extra attacks, you got your running shot spell, you got your 5-up ward spell. But you're getting them off of a hero that could maybe only get +1 or +2 to cast, no rerolls, and that's it. And you kind of just feel bad. It's like, well, okay, so you're playing the game now, you can get extra dice, but then your opponent's also getting extra dice for unbinding. So that just kind of nulls each other out. And then you've got your proper dominant casters, they're still going to be dominant, and then you've got your proper dominant anti-magic, they're going to be even more useful now. So it's like the two ends of the spectrum there, and then everybody else is just kind of trying to, I guess, it's just like, I don't really care too much with magic, but I'm just trying to win the game elsewhere.
Yeah. I think just the way that my mind works when I'm playing this game, very rarely go towards the kind of what is the highest performing army. And I know I recently did with Gets for a brief moment, but even during their Zenith, lists like Lumineth and stuff still existed, and still had higher win rates. So I'm always of the opinion, like, what is the kind of counter to what is seen as the best? And think that naturally there's a lot more armies that are going to be able to play the anti-magic side of things that are going to be able to play the strong magic side of things. It probably will end up settling towards anti-magic, I think.
Right.
Because the only armies that can really play the magic game are your Lumineth, Nagash, Seraphon, and Tzeentch. Yeah.
Norgal, Rockranger coming.
Yeah, so I think that could be quite cool too. The Rockranger Coven could return, especially with decent endless spells again.
100%.
But yeah, like I think that you probably will see it settle towards the anti-magic side of things. Another way I would put it is the primal dice are, it's like blackjack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to decide as the caster when you're going to stick before your opponent then decides how many primal dice they're going to spend to unbind.
Yeah.
So you're going to have that kind of mind game of trying to bait out your opponent's primal dice as the caster. And you also have no downside to using your primal dice to unbind, because if you roll a double one, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whereas it obviously matters if you're casting because you primal miscast. So I think the advantages to the unbinder.
It also makes your auto unbinds even more. I mean, they were always great to have.
Yeah.
This makes them even more.
You've got a way to play around auto unbinds now.
Yeah.
Because you can play for that double six. Yeah, so if you're up against Teclis and you're like, well, I've got one spell, there's no point.
Yeah.
Now you have a reason to cast it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can try and get that
you get lucky.
double six.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like that. He's then asked which mage faction comes out on top of this GHB. My money's on Seraphon. Yeah,
Sylvaneth.
So yeah, you're thinking Sylvaneth, Seraphon. It's funny because you think Lumineth because they're like dominant magic, but you don't actually get a lot of benefits from the mechanics in this GHB because you've got the little loci. Usually you want to auto cast on nicknames.
Yeah,
like there's not once per game, but still like.
Dawn Raiders get a lot of attacks, right?
One or two
think models. What's going to benefit in that list from the Hoarfrost, like maybe Blade Lords? I know that they've got two.
I think Blade Lords at 100%, like Dawn Raiders. If you get a lot of Dawn Raider attacks on round 3, that's a lot.
I think that they could be okay. The thing with Lumineth is they've got good battle tactics. So they're going to be able to take advantage of planning their turns around these new ones and also their kind of ones that are okay for them to do from their book. So yeah, I think that it's I think they just fall victim to the anti-magic side of things a bit more than the ones that have the bonuses to cast.
Yeah.
Because you don't really have bonuses to cast. They kind of made it you can auto cast this on a 9. But now it's quite easy to stop a 9 with primal dice.
That's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true. Then I've got book battle tactics, ban them or keep them legal. As some army don't have brothers, you have to keep them. I don't see anyone banning book battle tactics.
No, I think that we just need to accept that we are playing a kind of living rule set. It's just quite slow.
Yeah.
So I think that we should leave it to the game designers that if they see a faction as being a massive outlier, that they maybe look at that faction's battle tactics, if that is the issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that there were a few armies that could have stood to have a nerf to their battle tactics rather than a points change, to be honest, or a grand strategy change. Like, I don't think it's healthy for the game to have the Tzeentch grand strategy that they score before the game begins, or the ones that are just auto. Like, I don't think that's healthy for the game. So they could just leave it to them to fix that.
Yeah.
But I think that it's healthy for the game to have variance between the matchups. Otherwise, I think the game could feel quite stale.
No, I don't have an issue. I know there's been a lot of people who've been kind of shouting out about battle tactics and not being
happens every year. They look at these tactics, they say they're harder than the last set, and then give them a couple of months and they've figured it out, and it's not bad.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. So that's good. Then it's also asked which armies have the best spell ignores. So we are Nightmare, Khorne, Lumineth. What about special units like Incantor or Sigmar? Yeah, so best spell ignores. Yeah, my money. Nightmare Banshees, awesome. Really good. Obviously not good into your AoE splash spells. So against your Warsong, not good. Not good. But yeah, OBR. If you do go no Myriad. Yeah, see that happening for sure. You get 2 up ignore spells if people are wanting to go into the super magic, like that's to the Copenhagen or just tear that up, man.
I've been seeing this a lot. Like, so obviously I did the coaching with Onwards, and a few of the guys that were playing Petrifex Elite, they're like, yeah, I think it's non-myriad time, and I'm sitting there like going, well, the only thing I didn't like about playing OBR with my corn with Petrifex Elite is playing this 1-2-1.
And you're just like,
go non-myriad.
Everyone's so worried about all the dark order. Everyone's absolutely petrified of this magic tape.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
Be afraid. Cool. But yeah, I think there's lots of good anti-magic that kind of exists. And even good magic armies are pretty good against the magic I kind of mentioned. Those reports I've seen with the Cenithon, they're like, here's all my spells, you don't get any.
Like, you do kind of generally see like the magic dominance people kind of end up kind of almost shutting each other out.
Yeah.
Or you've got the anti-magic with magic you kind of shut each other out.
A lot of people could probably fall victim to this Hoarfrost spell is great. Let me build my list around Hoarfrost.
And then never get up.
And then don't get it. Yes, if you take a unit that is dog doo-doo without it, then a lot of the time you're either going to fail your spell, primal miscast when casting it, have it primal unbound, or not be in range because you still need to be wholly within 12.
Yeah.
So think it through. Like, it might not be worth building your whole list around this one spell that's cast on
For
sure. It's, to me, it just strikes me as a kind of nice to have thing. The 4d6 one worries me more than the Hoarfrost does.
At least the Hoarfrost is like, it's random and you have to roll again, then you have to make sure that unit makes its charge, gets in combat, does the stuff, does the things, that you just like 46 points. Yeah, so no, for sure. And then the last question, very last one. Can Games Workshop keep it fresh for a year with Battle Scrolls? What kind of changes would you like to see in Battle Scrolls? Points only or more rules like Predators and Prey of Season 1 GHB? Where we used to kill bosses. I think that you can generate and like cause a lot of change and like impactful changes with points. You can. I don't think you can rely on purely just points alone. I think that's why the Battle Scrolls have been great, because they bring in specific things like erratas for specific rules, or they're even given rules and buffs out to like cool boys. They got lots of stuff in the Battle Scroll, and it's like, oh good, like they're actually becoming maybe playable now.
Maybe talk about it. We're going through next battle report, but that list was close to 2,500 points, I think, when the book came out. Maybe being a bit exaggerated here, but I'm pretty sure both boys were like 30 or 40 points more than they are. Maybe there was only 20. Gut Rippers were more. All the heroes were more. So they've just consistently reduced the points off that book. And then they've even tried putting extra things in. But if they just keep putting the points down, you just end up, it hits this sweet spot where it just becomes bent. And you just take a lot of it.
So that
Backstabbers last year.
So that thing there is the most points efficient unit in that book.
And you would spam it. Which isn't good.
No, for sure.
So I would like to see them give books that are suffering, give them a battle tactic, give them a grand strat. Take a battle tactic off of the stronger armies. So the armies that are really strong, they no longer have their auto book battle tactic or something like that. I would prefer to see those sorts of changes instead of wholesale points changes across the board. Obviously, if something like Scradrop, 160 points, he was too cheap.
Yes, for sure.
Put his points up.
For sure.
But
it's an easy fix.
Exactly.
There are easy fixes. There are some things, though, where you can have a scroll that's so kind of impractical, doesn't have a use, or just, doesn't work, but no matter how cheap it is, people still wouldn't like it as well. So I think we need to have more, you have to have deeper kind of rules to kind of look at stuff like that. What would I like to see? I mean, you've kind of already said what you'd like to see, like in terms of changes.
I've not seen that.
But so I would like to see maybe more war scroll changes, maybe for very overlooked war scrolls that don't really have a purpose. Because you look at these two war scrolls, it's like, so this is a frontline unit that just acts like an anvil or chaff or a screen. This unit does the exact same thing. Which one's cheaper? I'm going to take that. I'm not taking this crap. Give some units maybe some actual, specific things that maybe tie into the rule set in the GHB, like they work with Antorian Locus, so they work with battle tactics to make them slightly easier for certain armies as well, stuff like that. So that's what I'd like to see, some kind of better changes to make war scrolls useful. And that's us. That's us. We have been chatting with this for an hour, 33 minutes. So basically, I hope you guys have all enjoyed. I've certainly enjoyed chatting about it. We always enjoy chatting about stuff, rules and shit. So we are now going to get set up for our battle report. It's going to be Crew Boys, which we're just going to talk about there, versus Iron Jaws. Well, never played Iron Jaws before. I'm so looking forward to it. Just going. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so we're going to accept for that. Hope you guys have enjoyed.
Yep.
I think what I may do, I might go rogue here, Nathan. I might go rogue. I may push the battle report back a wee half hour. Purely because, yeah, I don't want to make that rush. We also need to make sure that we stay, we have some sustenance as well. Because yeah, we have to eat something because we're not going for
sustain ourselves on
we're not going for nearly 5 to 6 hours on nothing. So we're gonna grab some food. We're gonna get set up, and I think I'm gonna kick off at 8:30. So I'll make a wee change on the YouTubes. So if you guys fancy coming and watching that, please do.
Here's his address.
We've got Stephen Dale. He loves his Crew Boys, so he's just instantly lit up. He's like Crew Boys with the heart.
Apologise in advance.
So he's loving life. So yeah, we'll go get us up for that. And yeah, come watch us, be hilarious, and probably get loads of new rules wrong, and you can shout at us, and it'll be fantastic. Can't wait. So yeah, let's go for it. So anything you'd like to say before we sign off, Nathan?
No.
Perfect. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. We're just going to go straight to credits, and we'll see you soon.
Cool. Bye.
Take care. Bye.